she's harder on me than anybody is. And I asked her opinion, and I flat get it. And she'll tell me, and that's good. That way it makes me a better clown. It makes me do my makeup. And like I said, she will not put my makeup on. It's me. I put it on myself, and that's the way it is. That's the way it should be, and that's the way she looked at it. But yet, when I asked her opinion, she will express. Now, first of all, we're going to start out. Harry, you want to start it out on the All Goose? Yeah. And Terry, you're going to help Terry House, Vacation, over here, and what is your name, weird one?
Weird hair.
Weird hair. Out of El Caribbean Street. Weird hair.
Tough when your daddy got to ask your name.
Boy,
He didn't hear that, no
He pretended he
You
didn't
slipped
anyway.
that right
First of all, we're going to go through this briefly. We're not going to do any making up because we might mess up the room. I'm not going to pretend to stand up here and tell you that I can tell you how to put on your makeup. That's something only you know. You know the best way to put it on. You know the type of makeup that works best with your skin and your skin problem. I do a August makeup and go as when I'm in competition, I go as a fireman. I've got a fireman's costume. What I'm going to be talking about tonight, and I imagine the rest of them are too, is competition makeup. We're not going to stand up here and try to tell you, that don't take 3 hours. That's how long it takes to put my makeup on. Don't take 3 hours to put your makeup on to go out on a parade that don't last for 5 or 6 blocks. I just don't think it's necessary myself to build you a parade face, and if you want to get in competition, a competition face. And I've got some handouts here. One is on the birth of the All Goose Clown to give you some history behind it. And then also I've got a list of muzzles. If you haven't developed a face, or even if you have, you may want to look through this. You might see one on here that you like better. Feel free to use it, try it, whatever. I've got a list of materials that you can use. I use all grease paint, and I use brushes to put mine on with. When I put mine on, if I put one color on, I can't come right next to it with my little fat fingers and get it where it looks good. I can take these small paint brushes that I use right here, and I can do that. I can make 2 perfectly smooth lines around there. And besides that, if you got holes in your face like I do from acne or whatever, you can't take your finger and fill them in. It just don't work. You can take that paintbrush and push it in there, and the makeup will go in it. But the first thing, we're getting ahead really, the first thing you got to do before you do anything else is get prepared. And this doesn't start when you start putting the makeup on. It doesn't start the morning before or the night before. It starts 2 or 3 days before. If you're going to do it, and do it right. And like I say, this is competition. This ain't just for on parades. Whenever you know you're going to a competition like in the morning, for 2, 3, 4 days ahead of time, and it doesn't have to be with everybody. Now, I do have this problem. I've got real oily skin. If I go out a night or 2 before and eat a pizza or something real greasy, that makeup ain't going to want to stay. Right under here and right under here, it just don't want to stay. So you just literally got to be on a diet for 2 or 3 days before that competition to get the oils out of your system. Me and C.C. Taylor, we use a room together. We'll get up about 3 o'clock in the morning and start. We'll go in, take a good hot shower, use astringents, everything else we can on our face. Shave as close as we can shave. And Avon makes a good astringent, and several others, to take the oils out of your skin, to pull them out and dry your face out. We get through doing all that, we'll go down and drink us a cup of coffee, come back to the room, start putting the makeup on. We usually try to start with the lighter colors first. And because I use a muzzle around here, and I use it around my eyes, the whites. The only way I found to do it and do it right is I'll put that color on and I'll powder it down. Now, the powder does several things. First of all, the powder is removing the grease from the makeup and setting it. Don't just put the powder on and turn around and wipe it off. It don't work. It takes anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes for that powder to suck all that grease out of that paint, so it'll stay there. It won't come off the next day. So you'll put the makeup on, you'll powder down, listen to a tune on the radio, whatever you want to do. 3 to 5 minutes later, I use this real fancy brush, and it works as good as any I've bought. I've bought makeup brushes and everything else. This is just an old cheap paintbrush. It works. Just take that paintbrush and lightly go over it. You can cover big areas, around your eyes. You can use it all kind of ways. Get all that powder off of there. Go on to your next color. Same thing. You put the color on, and again, I use the brushes because when I'm putting, don't put the colors right against one another. Leave a little bit of a border if you're going to outline that color. If you got a color you're going to outline with black or something, leave a little space between those colors. Because that paint's going to stick to your face better than it's going to stick to another color, and then you won't have to worry about mixing colors. So I use that paintbrush and get as close as I need to get, shape my patterns, all kind of odds and ends tricks you can use. Somewhere in here, I just use that in emergencies. Somewhere in here, I got a medicine bottle. Other than keeping an aspirin or two in, I take that medicine bottle right there, and I put that white on the end of here. Here's my white. I'll put that white on the end of there, and then I'll make my face, and I'll put me a round spot right there, and it'll make a perfectly round spot. Then I can finish building my muzzle from that. And I can put it in the same spot on both sides pretty easily. I can watch it in the mirror. So that's just something I do, and it works pretty good. Your makeups, there again, I'm not going to tell you one is better than another. Take this makeup before you use it and heat it. Get you a blow dryer and put it on hot, and let it sit there and blow and blow and blow until it starts getting a little mushy and liquid. It goes on a whole lot easier and stays on better. If you don't want to do that, take some out, put it in the palm of your hand, and sit there and rub it and warm it up. The heat from your body will warm it up. Then that makeup will go on a whole lot smoother and a whole lot easier. All kind of different colors. I couldn't find a big tin of the flesh, so I took several little ones and melted it down and put it in this an old tin I had of white. I just cleaned it out real good and put that in there. It works fine, rather than having a small one. I don't use all that much blacks and reds, so these smaller ones do fine. That's all I need. They just work good. I just heat them up and use that little bit, put them back. Noses?
Heating them up doesn't hurt at all.
No, sir.
Yeah, I've done the same thing.
Just go ahead and take hair dryer and heat that stuff
Right.
up.
It really goes on a
Blow
lot
that
better.
hair dryer in there and warm it up real good. You can tell when that oil starts coming out and it starts getting sticky. It'll go on a whole lot smoother and easier.
That's pretty good. I thought it was like
No.
rubber.
In fact, some of the people that was selling it recommend that you put it in a microwave every so many months and completely liquefy it, and it's supposed to kill any bacteria or anything like that in it. I never did really get into that, but you know, that's their story. I don't use any pencils, any grease pencils or any other kind of pencils on my face. Some people do it. I'm not saying don't do it. Don't get me wrong. If that works for you, fine. I take that black. I leave a mustache on. I wear one and I leave it on. It's cheaper than divorce, so I keep it on there. I'll take this big black pencil and I'll fill that mustache in all the way across, get a good smooth line across, good smooth line on the bottom, and then I'll just fill it in and get a good solid black all the way across. No skin showing through. Same thing with the rest of them, the whites. Once I get my border built, I go back and I need to fill in with my finger or whatever until I get to the fine points. And then all them little craters I got in there, I'll just go to jobbing and filling them in. And until you get the makeup of constant texture all the way across. You don't want it a little light over here, a little heavy over here. Keep working with it till you get it the same all the way. They really don't have to put that much on it. There's no use in putting a whole lot of makeup on it. First of all, it's going to cake on you and break and everything else. I try to keep it, you learn, once you've done it enough, you learn just how much you need to put on there. It's easier to work with, and it's easier to last later. Once you've got that powder on, and give it time to set up and complete it, get you some cold water, and I mean cold. And we'll have an ice chest in the room full of ice water. We'll take these little spray bottles that they spray their hair with. You can buy them, little small bottles. We'll put cold water in there and put it in that ice water. And then sit there and atomize your face with it and just soak it real good and wash all that powder off. Take a real dry towel or a real clean towel and just pat your face. And then once you've done that, let it set up, let it dry. You can put a fan on or whatever to dry it. And once you've done that, it'll bring not only the colors out in the paint, you'll see where you got a pink looking red, it'll jump out red on you. It just amazes you. But not only that, it'll be there. It'll be there all day. It won't come off. You do it right. And, so just take some time with it. Like I say, on competition morning, it'll take 3 hours for me to put my makeup on. Then you get into your costumes, and there again, that's individual preferences. Whatever type of clown you want to be, or that's for individuals to figure out. This is my parade get up. I got this, an old pair of overalls and some old clodhoppers I wear. And I'll just put a muzzle on and a nose a lot of times for parade. That's about it. With this hat on, it wouldn't do me a lot of good to have all that makeup over top of my eyes and all that, because you wouldn't be able to see it start with. So I'll just maybe blacken my mustache and put a white muzzle on, and that's about it for the majority of the parades. The way you put the powder on is left up to you. I got mine in a sock. Some guys don't like to do that. They rather have a powder puff. Left entirely up to you how you do that. It's the purpose that you're putting it on is what really counts. But give it time to work. Don't just put it on and then reach and grab that brush and take it off. The makeup is still going to be gummy and still going to smear on you real easy.
It's gonna bleed through too, your makeup is, if you don't have enough powder.
Now we have clowns, where's JR? He not in here? JR uses a water-based paint. He has problems with his skin, and he can't use that grease paint. He uses a water-based paint and does a good job with it. Water-based paint on the face is hard to work with. You really got to play with that. But he does a good job with it. Any questions? Have I helped or just confused the hell out of you? I got
First of all, we'll start off by throwing up a couple pictures here. Over here. You guys want them later? I want an autograph. All of them autograph? I guess what we're going to do is basically what he went over, I went over very good. Basically, whiteface goes on. The main thing with the whiteface clown is like in the goose. A goose clown, nothing really matches. Everything is best matched. They'll have stripes, costumes, and have circles on it, what have you. With the whiteface clown, everything has to be or should be uniform. Basic colors for a whiteface are red, white, and black. Now, if you look at my picture, I don't follow that rule, but I do all right with it. I pink right now, purple here. But the basics are red, white, and black. And the main thing is to get a good base for your makeup when you have your white on. Like he said, the best way to do it is to get it in your hand and warm it up so you can work with it. I haven't used a hairdryer or anything like that. If I stick it in the microwave, you better make sure it's not a metal can because it'll ruin your microwave. Warm it up, and when you put it on, you get it nice and even. I found the best thing to do for me is to work it in by patting it. And you may do this for about 3-4 minutes, just patting
Because when you do this, it moves your makeup around. It actually moves it around so it makes it even and smooth. And it'll fill those nooks and crannies up. Once you do that and you get a base, I use myself a template. Now, Clown Alley had some time ago where there were stick-ons, or you can make your own. And you can stick them on there and pat over the color, your white over. Then you take it off, and the marker's there, and then you fill in with the next color. I prefer to powder in between the colors. It works best for me to set it up that way. I use a cookie cutter, and I bent it in such a design, as you see, it looks like exclamation marks here. I'll just pull one here, and I'll pull it out right here. Then I use the end of a brush to get that fine line, and I'll sharpen it to get an edge. And I'll just put a line across, I want to get my eye in there. And if I don't like it, I'll cover it up again. And I keep doing it till it's nice and even. Then I go outside and I powder. And I'm one of these guys that powder like this with the whole, I use a lot of powder. Then I'll brush it off, same type of brush that we utilize. It always works best for me also. And that, yes.
What's the best powder? Theatrical powder or baby powder?
I find myself personally Johnson & Johnson, but there's a couple types of powder. What type do you use there?
I use Johnson & Johnson, but you have to be careful not to get the Johnson & Johnson that has a little oil in it.
Oh, Constant.
Yeah, or cornstarch, because then that really greases you up. So just get the Johnson & Johnson. I fill a sock up just like he does, an old white sock, and then I shake it this way. I beat it against each other so that it falls down on me. So.
That's the best way, to let it fall on you and fill in itself, and then brush it off. Like I said, if you want to clean it up, use the next color, that's good. I take a different approach when rather than taking the ice water and squirt it in between, I will take a towel, a hand towel, and dip it in the cold water and wring it, and just lay it on my face and push in. Feels good too. And push in, and it'll evenly distribute the water on your face, and you take it off, then you go for your next color. When I apply my reds, I go over the white. I don't clean it out, because if you do it properly, in between your whites, you put your color on, it will not bleed through. The other thing is, on my black outline, I use a Maybelline liner. It's got a little brush on the end of it, and it makes it really nice. You can handle it right in your hand, you can draw right on your face with it. You have to be careful, and again, when you're doing parades, I try to put my makeup on the same as if I'm doing a parade, often in competition. I use the same costume when I'm in the parade as I use in competition. I don't switch it, I use the same one. And then after I powder the black on it, I do the same process with the white towel, and I'm ready to go to work. You want to explain how you do your makeup? Everybody does a little bit of different. It was not practice the day of competition. It's not a good idea.
Now, what I normally do, and I'd recommend to somebody, once they find a face, they probably should really decide with the face and keep changing the face, then take a picture of it. And then blow that up and put it right next to your mirror so that you can see exactly what you're doing. What he went back to the original thing, I also use the Stencil. I mean, you can buy these sheets, black sheets or red, that you put on regular shelves. If you cut your design, now I cut my eyebrows out and I wear hearts sometimes. And I cut those out and I stick them on. Then I start doing my white. And then when you peel those off, there's going to be a little white around them. Take your little Q-tip and you wipe that little corner off. Then when you put your colors on, and I use a lot of red. I use red for eyebrows, not black. Once you get that off, then the colors will go on real smooth. But, there's something that neither one of us do that I do on my splashing. I get it right under the sink and I splash off the faucet rather than spraying it. I just let it just soak in front of the gun. Let it dry, just as an goose would, and then go back in and pat it with a clean towel. And the clean towel, I use a white because then I know if I've done it well, because after I pat myself down, I look at the towel, you see the color where you've really messed up, and it always helps you the next time. but it takes me probably an hour and a half to get my white face on. Because I do it inside my ears, in the back of the neck, and all over. If you're gonna do white face, don't be afraid to spread that color all over your face, back of the neck and everything.
Back of your neck, behind your ears, in your ears, get all over, because the kids can tell, they know. Granted, when you're doing a parade, and you're going down that street, those kids see clowns, they don't see fine lines and all that. That's something personal you have yourself. The kids are gonna love you no matter what you look like out there, because you're doing the thing, you're doing it for them. You're gonna have the same look in their face as they do if they're standing in the mall and watching you.
I do white face during the circus, I can make. Also, but I make, for competition, I make it smaller and prettier. But when I'm in for a circus, then I exaggerate everything that I've done in red. I exaggerate so that those people out there can see. It doesn't do any good to put a little thing on your face because I've never seen it.
Yes.
I'd like to mention something about these new guys coming in. I've seen a lot of them come in lately, or the last few years, and every one of them, and some of the old ones been there for 10 years, and they ain't gonna change, so don't try it. But when the first thing they get in there, they make their mouth ear to ear,
Too big.
right over the top lip. I thought maybe
What
you
you
might
wanna-
talk
what you
about
wanna-
that a little bit.
yeah,
Don't
what
put
you
no
wanna
makeup on the
concentrate
top
on-
lip.
I'm sorry. What you wanna concentrate on is if you're gonna, on your muzzle or your face or your smile, you probably wanna keep it in between your eyes. No further than that. Because then you get into like they call it watermelon stage, the watermelon mouth. And that scares the kids. If you come on too quick and you got a great big mouth on you, it frightens them. So we try to keep it within this area here. There was a question in the back there?
You were talking about your ears and everything. In competition, in judging, does the hood make a difference? Not a plastic white hood?
No difference.
No, no, you're covering the skin. That's the important part.
So you wouldn't lean, I mean, there's no differential between one that's completely covered with makeup and one that's with a hood?
No,
As long as you don't have any skin showing.
there's not.
You can't have no skin showing on white face.
That's right, if you have a skull cap or a white cap, you're not showing. You're not showing it. The different type of white makeups, I use Stein myself. Some people can't because of the grease in the system. Muron also puts out a good white. This new one out, it's expensive, but it goes a long way, Apple White. I've changed to it, I've been using Stein White for some 18 years. And I just tried this Apple White beginning of last year, and I used nothing else but. It gives you a nice bright color, and it goes a long way, and when you put it on, it goes nice and thin, and it covers real nice.
It's expensive though. I don't use him, can't afford him. Ernie can.
Is that a new company, or is that a type of white?
It's the company's called Apple White, but it just happens to be, it's like Jack Stein makeup, the guy's name was Jack Stein,
Should be apple red, right?
One thing you might want to mention too, that I left out on that powder. Before you do all that powder, take some cotton balls and put up your nose. You know, we had one of the ISCA members go in the hospital with white lung.
White lung.
You have to,
You
when
bet, like a kid.
you apply, if you have a sock and you're standing there going over it, you should be moving all the time that you're doing it, getting away from a big cloud. If you shake it on, make sure you do your t-shirt. I always put makeup on with a t-shirt. If you got powder all over, you'll be breathing it all day. So when you go to put your costume on, you take that shirt off and get rid of it.
How do you get it over your head without smearing your face, Ernie?
Well, you have to be good.
I don't wear a t-shirt. Burn.
You might want to bring up for younger clowns, the reason most of us use Johnson & Johnson baby powder is because there's nothing in the world that relaxes women and kids like to smell baby. It's psychological.
I'll tell you, if you go to a drugstore, if you go to a drugstore like CVS or a generic,
Voted for Bill Clinton.
you can buy a generic powder. You can buy a generic powder that will work the same as Johnson & Johnson because it has the same ingredients in it. That's the type of powder you should get. So if you got cornstarch in it and you utilize it, you're gonna have a bright, bright white face that'll be falling off you in 15 minutes. It'll break right down on you. A good way to remove this makeup, the best way that I found, is baby oil. I can't find anything better. Some people say baby magic. My skin doesn't work for baby magic. They take a bucket and they put it in there and it works for them. But for me, baby oil works the best.
I use the Head and Shoulders myself.
Well, I was gonna say that Johnson, baby shampoo, I mean, that stuff does a number, but it'll get you out there, so you get the shower, you get it in there good, it don't burn your eyes, just bleeding around your eyes. To me, it gets every bit of that off me. I found out if I put that baby oil on there to get it off, my skin is naturally, you know, it's oily. But I mean, by then, I don't have to spend about a half a bottle of that, Fridge, getting that oil off it. But that Johnson, baby shampoo, when I get in the shower after that, I spray it off with my hair and everything else, what I have got.
Take your t-shirt off before you get in the shower.
No, I wash it off.
I found I've been clowning almost 20 years now, and I found the best thing about makeup and costuming is to listen to everybody, try everything, see what works for you. But for God's sakes, if you find something good, share it with others, so they know.
One thing that the white face is finally getting, what I think should be better, is the nose got to get smaller on a white face. Because if you get a big smile here, and where I use red eyebrows and you put a big nose on, you're swallowed up. A big nose, I think, is real good for a goose or a character or something like that. But I see the world of nose is shrinking, even yours, but the world of nose shrinking on a white face, because everything's drawn to the center of the face, remember, on a white face. If you got big noses, I don't mean to scare you.
Some of us have a problem to start with.
Well, I mean the red part, not the other part.
Try to remember to color your nose in a little bit too,
That's
before
all.
you put the other one on it. Because if it falls off, you want to have something there. Any questions? Any more questions? Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, you got things you wanna add,
Okay. Character clown. Character clown is not something, a dress-up character that you see in the, that you dress out to go to a costume party. Character is one that's a clown. He's got a red nose on his face. And he represents something. Now, I represent a railroad man. And when you look at me, you're supposed to see a railroad man, what you think a railroad man would look at. Just like a fireman. What does a fireman look like? That's what a fireman looks like. But he's got a red nose on, he's got probably a goose face. Now, if he wants a white face and be a character, you're going to have to be a little more flashy. Now, I don't know what character you would have be a white face, but there are some white face characters and they're pretty good. But anyway, you've got to, when they look at you, they've got to see that character. Now, it's not like Dumbo or like Mickey Mouse. It could be like Charlie Chaplin, but there again, you've got to be exactly like Charlie Chaplin. He's a thin fella. Fat fella couldn't be Charlie Chaplin. I mean, there's no way, you know? The Keystone Cop, he's not going to be the big man or the little skinny man, he's going to be medium built. So when you fool the characters, when they look at you, they got to know what character you look like.
Well, if they don't know what you look like, then if they don't know what Tweedledee Gum looks like, they didn't realize that's what you look.
That's the judge's heart. That's his problem.
It's supposed to be a recognizable character.
Recognizable character. If you're a baseball player, now a baseball player might be a white face, depending on his costume.
but he'd want to exaggerate as like the big glove, big feet, or the big ball bat that he's probably slung over his shoulder. But when you look at him, you know he's a ball player. He's like a golfer. He's got to look like a golfer with a big hat. Now, he might be a white face because he could be more glittery in a white face. But there again, he probably would be in a goose clown with a goose face. But he could be a character. If he's a baker, now he could be a white face as a baker with a big funny hat, oversized hat that falls over, or and the big baggy pants, but he'd have to have a baker's uniform on. Well, just about any character that you can think about, a soldier. Now, I don't know how you could make a soldier, but I'm sure somebody can do it. But you would have to look at him and say, that's a soldier, or that's a Boy Scout, or that's a girl. No, not a girls can't do that. It would have to look like somebody. And that's the character. But there again, he puts his face on the same as a white face, the same as the goose clown does. But he puts that nose on that you know he's a character. Now, if he's I'm thinking of one like, we had one year that was an Irishman, the little elf. And he didn't have a red nose, but you could tell he was an elf. When you looked at him, he had a little something on the corner of his nose that was kind of funny looking. But when you saw him, you saw that elf. Now, those are exceptions to the red nose. But most of the time, you want to be sure you have a red nose on, either small or large, whatever it takes your character. Does anybody else have something to say about the character?
Yeah, that Popeye, the black camo god, how did he ever do his arm? I never figured that out. Do you ever get close to him?
No, I haven't. I've seen
Yeah,
him.
international at
I've
Vegas.
seen him, I've seen him.
Have you ever seen these kids blow up things that they swim with?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he had down here.
Is that how he built those? I've never been up close to
You
him.
can blow them up and they puff up like that.
Yeah.
Swim, buddies. Popeye.
Boy, he was good.
Excellent, excellent.
Try to remember to stay in character. If you want to be a character, that's fine, but try to match your makeup to your character. Remember, the white face is a pristine, straight-laced, clean-cut type of a character. Try to fit it in. If you're going to wear a white face, don't be one that doesn't match. Try to match what your makeup to what you want to be also, and it'll help you out a whole lot in that respect. And stay away from copyrighted characters, Jack Miller. Then Disney.
Who's that, Tin Man?
Yeah. Hey, Disney's tough on that stuff. They'll get you in a heartbeat. Try to do one of their characters. They don't like it.
What about Humpty Dumpty? We qualified.
Good one with it, buddy.
It took me years to get where I am right now, and I still come in third place most of the time. But when I first started out with Southeastern, you'd rather have competition with International. Southeastern was bad, and I didn't know a thing in the world, and they wouldn't tell you nothing. The seminar is the best thing that ever happened. I went to a couple of them, and I finally found out what you do. And the man told me the best tool you got is these fingers right here. Putting tramp makeup on it is black. I just use it. Well, I shave, get a good, clean, smooth face. It's basic. And I put my makeup on black. And then I put my flesh, or I use a brown, and I put it on real thin. Close to my black, and then I get my finger and I blend it in close. And then after I make my face, then I get my Q-tips out, make my mouth out, and my eyes. And I don't ever paint my nose right in here, because that's where I'm gonna put my blue. And then I powder mine, and let it sit there for a few minutes. And And then after that, I shape it up. Then I put my white on. And, I mean, you just don't whoop it on there. You take a little time putting it on there, and you put it on there real nice. And then powder it, and I'm ready to go. Of course, I started out around first year, letting my hair grow. The my old wig wore out, it got stretchy. I couldn't put it on no more, it just fall off. So I had to start letting my hair grow out. Of course, top quit growing. Ain't that right? Yeah, you got that problem too.
That's why you wear that big hat.
But, far as costume now, Goodwill is my best place to find a costume. You go to Goodwill, get anything you want. And, you go to the house, get you a pair of scissors or one of these old beer openers, and you can work on that outfit and cut the seat out, put your big patch in it, V-shaped patch in it, and, also, shirt, you can rip the shirt out and make it bigger.
And there's pants wear out.
Rinse it up a little bit.
Patch.
And get down with the needle and thread and sew it up. And socks, make sure you don't get no clean socks. I use coffee stains for my socks. And, let's see, I'll do a few little odds and ends, but, that's the main thing, I guess. Try to win something every once in a while.
How long does it take you to put your makeup on?
What else did I leave off there, big man?
How long does it take you to put your makeup on?
Well, on them parades around the house, about 15, 20 minutes. Competition, I get up early and it takes me about an hour and a half. I get up in the morning, take a hot shower, shave, and let everything dry off. Let your face real dry, and then I start putting that black on. And if it don't look right, I'll go back and do it again, because a lot of times I put that powder on there and my black starts coming out two tones. So I have to start all over again. And that, if you put enough on there, I mean, don't pack it on there, just put it on there good. And you can say, well, you got too much. By the time you get that powder on there, it's done thin down a little bit. By the time you wash that powder off, then, or what you call, brush it off and then splash it with water, then it comes out the way I like it. I like it, and, try to get over there and be third place at least.
Is it true that tramps never have their costume cleaned?
No,
No.
certainly
That-
ain't.
That is false.
Certainly ain't.
That is false propaganda, Mr.
No.
Lever, that you're putting out there. Susan?
No.
Well, the law, and all, he's got a good, pretty well smooth face, you know, that he can do the all goose or the white. As he gets older, his face, you know, starts to puff up a little bit, old bro feet starts, then he wants to ease into the clown or the tramp. It's just like, now, some people may not believe what I'm fixing to tell you. But them pants that I wear are 25 and a half years old. They do get washed, Dale.
Say anything.
And when you heard those things held together with baling wire, rope, cord, anything that I could sew that thing with, I mean, they even had to extend them a couple of times, they, need a little, spreading out a little bit. So what I do is go find me another old pair of pants at the, Goodwill store, Salvation Army, and I cut them out. And I expand my legs to make them blousy or something like that. Now getting back to the face part, when I first started competing, because like I said, I've been clowning 25 and a half years, but I didn't really start competing up to about maybe 10 years ago, 9 years ago. And I had what I call them the silver dollar eyes on face. Raccoons, like $7, whatever, different place. And I said, now, you know, to me, that ain't the way an old tramp or a hobo is supposed to really look. So, I talked with Harold at CC a couple times when I was up 3 or 4 working, and they said, well, look, the best thing, hell, I can tell you, do is practice a few things. You got something in mind, try it. So what I started doing, the very first thing that I do when I start my makeup on is, like I told y'all just a while ago, my skin's a little oily right in here, right down through here. I use that pink colored stringent, and I clean my face after I shave. The first thing I do, I get up in the morning, is I get me a cup of coffee, and I go in there and I clean my face real good. I wash it. Then I shave. I give myself a good shave. And then I clean my skin with that stringent. I use that pink stringent. And some people can use it, some people can't. But first of all, what I do is I get my skin good and clean. Now, the very first thing that I do is I'll take my mouth and I sit and I'll experiment it with different mouths. That's 3 things that I believe any successful clown is going to do. And it's 3 simple things. It's called practice, practice, and practice. Some of these clowns that have been in it a long time, you ask them, how many times you put your face on and took it off? They couldn't even start to tell you till they get that right face. What makes you happy is what you want to be a clown. The face, you feel like, hey, I look good, I'm ready. Then you are ready, because you are the only person you got to please is yourself. You win, you win. If you lose, you still win. Why? Because you win in that competition. Each time you compete in competition, each time you put your makeup on, you're going to become a little bit better. You don't practice it. It's like on this computer generation now. They say crap in, crap out. Good stuff in, good stuff out. Same way with clown makeup. You practice your makeup, you're going to be a good, successful clown. I can show you some pictures of some clowns that when we got up, pitiful, oh boy. We don't want to talk about that. But what they did is they got to practice. And these guys, like I said, around here, we worked at it. We had seminars. We'd come in on, like on a clown meeting night. We'd have a bit, then we'd start talking about clowning. We even put a makeup book together. Every new client that came into our unit, we gave them a book. We'd sit there and we'd work with them a few times and help them and say, okay, Bubba, now you do it. If he didn't look right, we'd tell him. I mean, not trying to hurt his feelings, but we was honest with him. And we would point out things. But getting back to me, what I did, I experimented with a mouth that I have molded now. I've been using for almost, I think about 7 years. And the way I started it out, and what I did, is I try to take my finger and I put it right here, and I come straight across. Now I have what they call a cliff chin here. Now, if I came down too far, it's going to come up like this. So what I did is I come straight across my mouth here at the bottom with the white. And then I would take my mouth, and I take my Q-tip, and I round that off. So when it came out. Now, what I do, now a lot of people don't do it, but I do, if I powder that white, if I've got that mouth the way I want it, before I go any further, I've got that white. I powder it, make sure. And then I take a black liner pencil, and I lightly take it real easy and make me like a bordering around that white, the way I got my mouth. Now remind you, I stay within the grooves of my face. I stay within the lines here. Because if I get one of these old jaws are stopping right here and that face is grinning over here, that looks like hell. So what I do, if I'm going to smile, be a happy clown, it's going to stop right here. Then on this side of each lip, now I can do one or two things. I can slant it down where you're looking like it with my top lip poking over my bottom lip, or I can turn it up a little bit and it looks like I got a little grin. And what I do is I take an eyeliner pencil and I make me a line, a straight line. That way I can use it smiling, I can use it frowning. The same line. I don't have to point it up, don't have to point it down. But that line in the groove It's whichever way I move my mouth, that's the way it's gonna look. The next thing that I go to is I take that same white that I put on my face, and I take that white and I put it around this part of my eye and around this part of my eye, right around the socket part there, and bring it over to about right here. I do the other eye the same way. Okay, then the next thing that I do is then I go to my black, and I take, well, I'm gonna curve that, I take the little finger with my black, and I start right here at the side of my nose, and I come down, and I make my line, and I try to go up to the sideburn here. So I've got me like a little curve here on it. I come.